You're listening to Glove Up or Shut Up on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
You're listening to Glove Up or Shut Up on AngryMarks.com with Peter H. and Stevie J. Find them on Twitter at HardcoreCDN and at AngryMarks. And now, for all the news, reviews, and interviews in mixed martial arts, it's time for Glove Up or Shut Up from AngryMarks.com.
And welcome everybody to another episode of Glove Up or Shut Up, right here at AngryMarks.com. My name is Peter H. and I'm joined once again by my co-host from Omaha, Nebraska, Stevie J.
Hey Peter, good to be back for another week of mixed martial arts, and no shows this weekend, so that gives us plenty of time to talk about what happened last week and cover all of the latest news.
And a few people asked me what was wrong with Stevie J last week, and I just said he was a little under the weather, but he plowed through like a soldier.
Yeah, I manned up, toughed it out, took a bunch of cold medicine, and hung in there to do a show.
And too bad we're not talking about the Cubs and the Jays in the World Series, but that's the way it happens sometimes.
Well, with all due respect to my friends in New York, I have to say, go Royals, go.
Oh, no. We're going for the Mets on this one.
Hell no. Absolutely not. I'd be lynched for that. I live in an area with a lot of Kansas City Royals fans. That ain't happening. We got a minor league Royals affiliate right here in town.
You have someone with an Amish beard taking a home run, and don't get me started on the Royals. That game was just heartbreak.
Sorry. Whatever you can say, but I'm not going to root for the Blue Jays over the Royals. Not where I live.
Anyways, we got lots to talk about, but we should start with Bellator. They had a great show on Friday night.
They did indeed, and they had a main event to crown a new middleweight world champion, which if you've been following the saga here on Glove Up or Shut Up, Brandon Halsey was the middleweight world champion, was stripped of the title when he missed weight for his last fight, won that fight anyway, so he became the number one contender for the vacant title in a fight with Rafael Cavallo. And I know you told me before we went on the air today that you showed your friend Al the video of what happened to Brandon Halsey. Why don't you tell the listeners what happened to Brandon Halsey?
Well, for 1.5 rounds, Halsey was winning this fight.
Oh, yeah.
And then they go to the center of the cage, and Calvillo throws a kick, and it's right in the gut, and it's like, oh, it's just a kick, no big deal. And then Halsey just folds like a cheap suit, and Cavallo just pounces on him, and the fight's over. He got a liver kick right on the button, and he went down.
Yeah, and this was picture perfect. This is like the old school El Guapo Boss Root liver kick. Just bang, fight's over.
It's rarer than the spinning back fist.
I wouldn't say the spinning back fist is so rare anymore. Everybody is at least trying to land the spinning back fist. It's more rare that people actually hit it and end a fight with it.
Now, I missed this one detail. Did Halsey actually make weight for this?
Oh, yeah. They both made weight.
Okay.
In fact, everybody on the main card made weight, so there were no issues with making weight for this fight. Although, you know, Halsey told me in his pre-fight interview that he had some ankle injuries and he was sick the last time, and that's why he missed weight. So I wasn't surprised that he made the weight this time, but I did notice that his ankle was still taped up, so I guess it's been bothering him all this time, even going back to the last fight.
Now, for those wondering, Calvillo is the new middleweight champ, round 2, 142 via TKO. There is some talk that Halsey might jump weight up a weight class, but nothing confirmed yet as far as I know.
Well, that's the first fight he's ever lost, so that's premature. That's highly premature to say that Halsey's going to change weight class, because he made the weight. He was winning the fight, like you said, up till the point he got hit with the liver kick. So I can't see him not wanting to challenge Cavallo. He might have to wait a fight or two before he gets a rematch with him, but I can see him sticking around at middleweight for a while.
See, I think the opposite. I think now that he's lost that title, he's free to jump to that next weight class because, as you said in the past, he's a big boy and he's cutting down to middleweight.
Yeah, but everybody else that's fighting for the middleweight title, it's not like he's alone in that regard.
No, but if he was to step up into light heavy, I mean, there's some great fights I could see there.
I respectfully disagree that I think he needs to move up to light heavyweight because he made the weight for this fight with no problem, looked great for an entire round, got caught with a perfect liver kick, and we have to give Rafael Cavallo the credit for that. He landed a perfect kick. He did what you have to do. Just like people wanted to discredit Chris Weidman the first time he beat Anderson Silva. No, he landed a perfect punch. He did what he had to do. So you can't discredit him just because it was a one-shot finish.
I suppose, but I'd rather, I like to see Halsey move up. I think there's some better competition in light heavy, and I think that'd be some very entertaining competition and some rather intriguing fights on the light heavyweight side.
Honestly, I don't see it, cause I don't see Brandon Halsey versus Liam McGeary. I don't see Brandon Halsey versus Tito Ortiz. I don't see Brandon Halsey versus Phil Davis. I don't see Brandon Halsey versus King Mo. None of those fights make sense to me.
We're putting on our fantasy booker hats here, but I think if Halsey, he's got the skills, he's got the toolbox, the tool set basically to...
Yeah, let me put it this way. I'm not saying he could be competitive at 205, but I'm also saying we're talking about guys who are really big cutting down to 185, but you got guys who are even bigger cutting down to 205. So he's going to be small in that weight class if he goes up.
Is he still in his 20s or is he in his 30s now?
He's
Maybe
29.
28?
He's right
29.
on the border, so he's got plenty of time. I really don't think he needs to think about moving up.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the co-main event of the evening, and that was Brennan Ward against Dennis Olsen.
This was a one-sided beating, and nobody should have expected anything different. Ward wins by TKO at 4:37 of the first round.
And it was a war for what it was. I mean, Ward just sliced and diced them, basically, but it was...
He was fighting
Ward
a
being
journeyman
Ward.
fighter. Yeah, it was never going to go any other way. If he stood there and traded with Olsen, Olsen was not going to get the better of it.
Kota Yamauchi against Isao Kobayashi, and Yamauchi wins with a rear naked choke late in the third round at 350. Yamauchi had a rear naked choke early in the fight, and if you saw it, it wasn't really... It was in, but it wasn't in deep enough to really cause...
the chin. It wasn't all the way there.
It was close. It was, in a crank here or there, and he could have had a better
Well,
grip
he could have had a neck crank off of it.
Yeah, but it wasn't there. Now, the one that stopped the fight in the third round, that elbow was parallel to the point on the chin where you could see the face turning red. Like, it was, okay, he's either going to tap out or he'll pass out at this point.
Right, and Kobayashi was really fighting hard. Like you said, the first round, he wasn't going to give up for nothing, but by the third round, that choke was just in too perfect. He was too spent. He still had the Japanese spirit, and he still wanted to fight, but he had no choice at that point.
It's like, okay, I'm screwed here. The clock, there's still some time in here, and I'm in the middle of the cage. No.
Yeah, if there were like 5 seconds left in the round instead of a minute and 10 seconds, maybe he would have tried to hang on, but not in this case.
Yeah, I mean, he'd probably be like, 5 seconds, I'll wait for the stars to really start to fade and my consciousness starting to dip before I'll tap type of thing. But yeah, a minute and 30, he would have passed out for sure.
Yeah. To be honest though, Yamauchi was winning the whole fight anyway. Even if it had gone to a decision, if it had gone to the judges, I would have given Yamauchi all 3 cards. Michael
Page beat Charlie Ontiveros, TKO.
Nothing
320.
You couldn't have expected this. It was a one-sided fight. It was booked to be a one-sided fight. They need to give Michael Page some better opponents.
Absolutely. It's time for him to get some better competition.
Absolutely. I know they're trying to make a star out of him, but I think that star has already been made because he's won almost every Bellator fight with a flashy finish. So give the guy somebody really, really tough.
See, I want to go back to the Halsey argument just for a second because there was a story I had to double check to make sure my source was accurate here. One person who thinks that Halsey's going up to 205 is actually Scott Coker.
Okay, well, again, that's not something I see. Scott Coker is...
I got the quote if you want.
Fine, give me the quote, but I'm still going to disagree with it.
I was just talking to Halsey, and he was saying that when he was trying to go for the takedown and control him, he said he felt very weak. So he thinks that it's a weight issue for him and that he has to go up in weight to be competitive because there's too much of a cut for him. So you might see him at 205 here in the near future.
Or he could change his diet, not walk around at 220, and then he wouldn't feel weak when he has to make such a huge weight cut.
One final point and we'll move on to the prelims here. Do you think we always talk about fighters going down in weight, like losing some of their power, like Samson, basically. Is the same for the flip side on that?
You mean, do you think fighters gain power when they go up in weight?
No, do you think they lose power by going up if they're used to cutting, like, from A to B? Do you think they lose the power by not having a significant cut, or do you think they gain more power because they're at a more natural weight?
I think every fighter is different. I don't think we can create a one-size-fits-all approach to this, because some fighters will probably get stronger by going up in weight because they can pack on more muscle, and some fighters will probably be worse because when they put on extra weight, they'll move more slowly and they'll get more easily caught. So I think every fighter is different. It depends on the person.
And we just talked about Brendan Ward, and Coker said, don't be surprised if there's Brendan Ward versus the champ.
Yeah, and he wants to fight with Koreshkov too. He said so when I interviewed him, so.
And talked about Yamauchi. He's calling out the winner of Pitbull versus Strauss 3.
I think that's up to Bellator and Rich Chow and Scott Coker.
Now, is there anything on the prelims that catch your eye here?
The one that I really enjoyed was Marius Inache and Pete Rogers Jr., because very rarely do you see a scarf hold as a finish.
Yeah, it was unique.
Mm-hmm. Not too often people tap to that, but I don't think only one fight out of all of the ones they aired on the prelims went the distance, and that was Kevin Haley and Mike Zucchelli.
You're forgetting Sam Watford beating TJ Hepburn.
Oh, yeah, that was the very, very first fight. Like, that was even before it was supposed to go to air. Like, I've learned this with Spike.com and the Bellator prelims. They'll say it's at 7 Eastern, but I always tune in like 15 minutes before that, because they put so many prelim fights on, it's going to start early. And that was that was the early.
I got my time
fight.
zones mixed up. I thought it was 7 your time, not 7 my time.
Oh, so you missed a bunch of fights, didn't you?
I tried. I really did try, but I had a blonde moment. What can I say? Let's see. There was one fight I liked was Matt Bissett beating Kevin Roddy with a heel hook in the first round. Like, heel hooks are nasty. Like, they are just, if done correctly, it looks so bloody painful.
Oh yeah, and Bissett is a guy that's had some good experience before in Bellator, which is why we spotlighted this fight on the prelims when we talked about it last week, because
exactly.
He was in the Bellator Season 10 featherweight tournament, got all the way to the semifinals where he lost to Daniel Weichel. No shame in that, since Weichel went on to challenge Patricio Freire for the title.
A win like this on a prelim could really step him up to either a higher point in the prelims, or depending on his opponent, you could even make the argument for that first fight on the main card.
Yeah, I can see him being on the main card the next time he fights.
UFC Fight Night 76 in Dublin, and this was...
You know what? This was a fun show.
It was a show.
It was a show, but it was a fun show, because it was a bunch of guys, some of whom were from Ireland, some of whom weren't, but they could just go out there and have fun.
Now, we did have a last-minute withdrawal of a fight. I guess I'm moving when I'm talking, because I get really animated with my hand gestures, and I move the cord.
Which is ironic, because nobody can see that.
No, it's true. It's great radio. What can I say?
You need to periscope yourself. Get on Twitter and periscope the show.
Maybe I'll do that for the Rumble draw.
Yeah, you could do that, actually. Live stream of Peter H. drawing on Periscope.
This is a scary thought, but Joseph Duffy planned to fight with a concussion.
No. I agree with him not being allowed to fight with a concussion. That's a recipe for disaster.
He still wants Dustin Poirier.
Well, Dustin Poirier still wants him. He didn't want a replacement opponent. He wanted the guy he trained for.
Dude, you have a concussion. No, just no.
Right. You don't go into a fight with a concussion, because fights cause concussions.
It was either Steve Young or Troy Aikman that had the best quote about concussions, where it's not the number of concussions you have in a career, it's the severity of the concussion.
Right.
And those two guys know about concussions. They got rocked in their careers.
Right. But more than anything else, your brain is not going to recover quickly if you do suffer a concussion. You don't just... It's the same reason that football players aren't allowed to go back out on the field when they got one. You sit because your brain You may think you're fine, but you're not.
Like even WWE has a concussion protocol, right?
Yes.
Even like NHL, there was a scary situation with, I want to say the Flyers, where a guy got rocked, he sat on the bench, and play was stopped. He was having some type of an episode on the bench, and they escorted him from the bench to the training room, and he did not return.
Yeah.
And the only thing they're saying is an upper body injury, which everyone knows is a concussion.
Right.
Or no, I shouldn't say everyone knows, but in that case, it was a concussion. He got the elbow right to the face on the ice, so.
Yes.
He skated off like it was nothing, but when the play is going on and your bench is banging on the boards, hey, we need a referee, we need an official here now, like get the trainers here. This guy's like having a spaz attack. Concussions over the past, oh man, how am I going to say this? 5 years, I'd say.
We've learned a lot.
Yeah, but I don't think we've scratched the surface.
No, it's a developing science, but the thing that's important, though, is it is being taken seriously now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you and I were kids, the old philosophy was, oh, he got his bell rung, walk it off, get back in there. At least we're not operating with that caveman mentality in 2015. Things have gotten
suck
better.
it up, Buttercup, yeah.
Yeah, people have learned that concussions are real and serious now, and it's like you said before, you can skate off the ice and be fine. You can walk off the field and be fine. You can come out of the cage and be fine. These things have a delayed onset. Sometimes you won't know you have a concussion until minutes, hours, or even a day later. When your vision gets blurry, when you start getting weird headaches, that's the time to go see your doctor and see a neurologist and know that you need to sit out for a while and not do anything.
Like I've had my bell rung, I think, twice. And once I had to go to the hospital for it. And I was told by the doctors, don't fall asleep for another 6 hours.
Right. That's when you know you've really got a concussion, is when they tell you don't go to sleep. That's scary.
And it was something where I just banged heads with another guy, and we both went down, and I was very slow to get up. I walked 20 feet and then just vomited. And it was really scary, and they had this, this is back, this is showing my age, but really 90s, late 80s, something like that.
Right.
Where concussions weren't really the big deal they are now. And I had this, hand-eye coordination test.
Yeah, where you
had
in front of your eye and you follow it with your eyes.
No. Well, that was the first part. The second part, this is what I remember, was this like beanbag game, and you had to throw the beanbags into like certain targets.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't throw a single one into the target.
Yeah, that's a concussion, all right.
Yeah, and my mom looked at me and she goes, "You all right?" I'm like, "Did I hit the target?" No. Just no. So I could speak firsthand. I'm not as severe as Duffy here, but like, nothing to mess with.
Whether he wanted to compete or not, it was right for him to not.
So we had the main event changed to a fight that,
you know what? It was
I
a
hate
good
to
fight.
say,
Patty
it was a
Holohan
good
and
fight.
Louis Smolka, they went out there and had a scrap.
Which I love, but this fight didn't sell one ticket.
No, I wouldn't say that. Patty Holohan is very popular in that market. The fans were absolutely rabid for him. In fact, when Smolka won the fight with a rear naked choke in the second round, some of those fans were such big fans of Patty Holohan, and they were so upset about it, they started throwing cups of beer from the stands into the octagon. You could see the beer flying into the cage.
And Irish beer is so good.
Well, not to mention, beer at any arena is expensive, so these people were probably throwing away €5 cups of beer.
So, Smolka wins with a rear naked choke in the second round at 4:09, so, I mean, Smolka did what he had to do. He won a scrap in Ireland in a guy's backyard. He's gonna get, I'm not gonna say a big push, but his stock definitely rise with this win.
He is number 13 now off of this fight, so he's coming for those other guys in the division.
What do you do with Patty here?
Well, he wasn't ranked before this fight. He lost a fight in his hometown in the main event, so I wouldn't say you do anything with him particularly. You don't have to, make a decision one way or the other, but he probably moves down to the prelims and has to earn his way back up.
Norman Park beat Reza Madadi, unanimous decision, 30-27.
You know what the real story of this fight is?
What's that?
Norman Park gave him a pink handbag at the weigh-ins. And if people don't know that story, why don't you explain why?
I don't know the story, to be honest. You gotta tell me this one.
You really don't?
No.
Reza Madadi did, like a year and a half in prison for being part of a robbery gang that stole designer handbags.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Yeah, they broke into a store, they stole a whole bunch of Gucci and Louis Vuitton and handbags and purses. So, Norman Park was razzing him by giving him a purse at the weigh-ins.
Oh, he must have loved that.
I'm sure there was some bad blood between them, but Norman Park put it off after he won the fight, said, hey, we did what we had to build up the fight, but I'm cool with him now. It's no big deal.
Man, that's, is that out of bounds?
I don't know. I mean, we've seen people give people cookies at the weigh-ins before. What's really out of bounds?
Yeah, but cookies are one thing, but razzing someone for their criminal record, that's something much different, you know?
Well, if he didn't want to be razzed for it, he shouldn't have been part of a criminal gang that was heisting handbags. I mean, it's Madadi's own fault. He was part of the group. He did his time. That's
true. This next fight,
talk about Dalby and Till, because you know what?
Do I have to talk about this fight?
Yeah, honestly, this fight, I don't mind that it was a draw.
Really?
Yeah, actually I don't, because both of them looked like they'd beaten the crap out of each other. They each had an argument for having won the fight. At the end of the day, I don't feel like either of them were losers. Now,
so
the flip
one
side
judge gave two judges gave a 10-8 round for that third round.
Yeah, and again, I have no problem with that.
Because we've had discussions with 10-8 rounds in the past, and it's something where, was that a 10-8 round, yes or no? And I'm thinking it's close. It's in the ballpark, but there's no real, in the judge's handbook, a definite, this is a 10-8 round, this is close, but still a 10-9. Like, it has to be basically an inch of stopping the fight for me to be a 10-8 round.
Alright, well, what's your scorecard?
I had it 29-28 for Till.
Alright, so...
I was very, that score was announced, I was like, okay, I'm with this judge here because that's what I had, but it was close. It was razor thin, but I had 29-28 for Till. Neil Siri beat John Delos Reyes with a guillotine in the second round at 4-12.
Siri looked good. I really can't
He did.
I can't add any more than that.
On the prelims, you know the one fight I'm going to talk about here.
Probably Tom Breeze beating the snot out of Catal Pendred.
Oh, did he ever beat him up?
Yeah, beat the bricks off him, and that was not popular because, again, Catal Pendred was the local guy, the fan favorite, and they wanted him to win, but Breeze just creamed him with a shot. I mean, left no doubt about it.
Alsing Daly beat Erica Almeida, unanimous decision, 30-27, 29-27, and 29-27.
Now, you notice Conor McGregor was sitting cage side for this one.
Oh, yes.
Yep, they're friends, they're training partners. They knew each other of old, long before either of them was in the UFC, so she was very emotional about it. He was emotional about it. It was a very big win for her.
Which is good. I mean, she was crying, I love the raw emotion we saw here. It's great to see that because so many of these fighters are very, tunnel vision when it comes to their fighting, and to see that raw human emotion, that's great.
You know, in hindsight, and you can say what you will about this now, but in hindsight, they really should have put this fight on the main card.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With that fight getting dropped, you had to put one fight up, and I would have no problem with this fight going on the main card.
Even before a fight got dropped, I would have put this on the main card. I'd have put this on the main card above Siri and Reyes.
Now, the only other fight on the prelims I want to get your thoughts on is Krzysztof Joko beating Scott Ashcombe by split decision. Does the right man win here?
Yeah, I had 2 out of 3 rounds for Jocko.
Every time I hear Krzysztof, I know we've had Krzysztof Szczecinski on the show before, but every time I see a Polish fighter, I always have the sudden urge to have some Polish cuisine.
What, you want some latke?
Oh, I'd love some of that right now.
Yeah.
If you've never had it, go out and get some. It's delicious.
Add some pierogies, too, while we're at it.
Oh, yes. Oh, hell yes.
Alright. Well, yeah. It was a good card overall. And, one other fight I'll talk about, since you didn't mention it.
Sure.
2 seconds left in the final round, and they drew comparisons to Demetrius Johnson when they saw this happen. Gareth McClellan pounded out Bubba Bush. He poured it on. He was trying to get the fight stopped, and he got it with 2 seconds left.
You hear that 10-second warning, you're going for it. We didn't mention Joko's celebration, though. It's the Spinneroonie of Spinneroonies.
Oh, that's right. He started breakdancing.
All right, let's move on to the news, and let's start with one of your favorites, Rampage Jackson.
Well, you know what? Before that, let's give out the performance bonuses for UFC. Fight of the night went to Dalby versus Till, and performance bonuses went to Neil Seary and Tom Breeze. Now, with that out of the way, with that out of the way, let's move on to Rampage.
He said John Jones is bad for the sport.
Well, you know what? He's got to stay in the news and stay talked about somehow. So, taking shots at a former opponent is probably one way to do it.
Well, I mean, I get that. I could see his point to an extent.
Yeah, but there's also the whole pot calling the kettle black thing.
Exactly. This is like Diaz calling out someone for a marijuana failure.
Right. Rampage. I love Rampage. I respect Jones. I don't think either one of them should really talk about the other being bad for the sport, because each one of them has some black marks on their record they can't run away from.
Do we remember the, what was it? The police pulling him over, and he had to go like on his stomach with his hands in the air, and he was hopped up on energy drinks, and the truck he was driving had a big Rampage sticker on it?
Yeah, and I believe he caused an accident.
We talked about Joko a second ago. He actually wants to have a breakdance battle with Sage Northcutt.
I don't see how that gets booked for a UFC show.
Maybe a weigh-in.
Yeah, or you could do some sort of Dana White YouTube video where he puts both of them in his office and lets them breakdance go to town.
I hate myself for saying this next phrase, Stevie. I really do. I've got Ben Askren news.
Okay, what?
He has some not pleasant thoughts about Johnny Hendricks. People are finally getting to see what I've known about Johnny for more than a decade, his pathetic excuses. You were 26 frickin' pounds over on the Monday before the fight. What in the world does deer meat have to do with it? For me, it was terrible to see Tyron robbed of an opportunity to show what he has because fighters only get to fight 2 or 3 times a year. So when you have one of those opportunities essentially stolen from you, that's a hard thing to deal with.
Technically speaking, he's not wrong about anything he just said.
No. But is he sticking up for his buddy, or is this just him giving his 2 cents?
Yeah. It comes across as him stirring the pot, even though nothing he said is technically wrong.
They're looking to have Koscheck to debut for Bellator in 2016, early 2016. And guess who the opponent might be? Mr. Daly.
Yeah, I thought so. They've been teasing that for a while.
I don't know. I hate saying freak show fight. I mean, we saw what happened last time, and you really have that bad blood simmering. Is it good for the sport, or is it just, hey, look, these guys hate each other. Like, let's book this, and let's, mop up the cage afterwards. Like, is this just, hey, look at us moment, or is this a fight that people actually want to see?
You put it in terms that makes it almost impossible for me to give a sensible answer to that, because it is going to be a, hey, look at us fight. That's the whole reason we're doing it, but
yeah,
you can't say that both guys don't have some things that they feel are unsettled between them. So if they're going to have this fight anyway, you might as well have it in a cage with rules, with safety, and at least have them get paid for it.
Now, the only last thing on my list of news here this week, we get some weeks, guys, or folks, that we have lots of news to talk about, and some news, it's scarce pickings. It happens. It's mixed martial arts. Some weeks are better than others when it comes to news. But I do have the list of suspensions from the Fight Night Dublin show.
Well, keep in mind, most fighters get 30 days automatically no matter what, so a medical suspension is not as big a deal as being suspended by the Athletic Commission.
No, but Norman Park, for example, suffered a rib injury. In fact, 7 fighters on this list have a medical suspension of 6 months.
Yeah, but if they get cleared by a doctor, that can be waived.
let's see, Park with his ribs, Nicholas Dalby, x-ray of his foot, Taryn Dill, he has to get an MRI in his shoulder, Dulles Race, he has to get an x-ray of his chest, Joko, left hand injury apparently, Pendred, of course, facial injuries. If you saw the fight, you know what I'm talking about.
Honestly, I'd expect Bubba Bush would have a few of those.
45 days, actually.
That's pretty low considering the beating he took at the end of that fight.
And the other one on here is Robert Whiteford, 6 months. He has to get his left elbow looked after.
Okay.
But yeah, Bush only 45 days. Yeah, none of this really. I mean, the MRI for the shoulder for Till, that worries me a little bit because when it comes to shoulder injuries and you're a fighter, I mean, we've seen some fighters with wonky shoulders after a fight, and they're never the same guy afterwards. Or fighter afterwards, I should say.
Manville Gamburian.
Yeah, when you go for a takedown and pop your shoulder.
Yeah, his career was pretty much messed up from that.
But facial injuries, I mean, obviously we know why that was. His face was hamburger at the end of that fight.
Right.
But some of these are just precautionary reasons. As you said, doctor will clear him, no problem. But 6 month suspensions, there's something they're looking after. There's something that requires a medical professional to take a look at to make sure that they're okay. I mean, when they're scheduling test after test for something to happen after a fight, like, take the time. Don't rush back to training because you don't want to have a situation where you're back from an injury or a sore this or sore that, and it turns out something much more serious than what you thought.
Well, you know what? At least with UFC, we really don't have to worry about this issue because every single fighter under UFC contract has full medical. So
Yep.
Nobody ever has to rush back. These guys can take the time to be seen by a doctor and get everything taken care of because it's all paid for. As much as people want to knock UFC for this and that, the fact that these guys have full medical is a blessing because a lot of other promoters aren't paying for that.
Now, going back to Duffy for a second, you're training for a fight, you're in the main event, and the week of the fight, you get knocked in the head. Do you not relax the contact, like, to an extent if you're in the main event or if you're on the main card? Do you not ease back on that training so you don't ding yourself before the fight?
I've asked so many fighters this in so many interviews, and everybody's philosophy about it is completely different. Some guys, they want to take the week off before training, not risk getting hurt, be ready for the main event, let their body heal up, get relaxed, and be comfortable. Other guys, they're like, if I let off the gas in the last week, I'm going to lose my edge, I'm not going to be sharp, I'm going to come into the fight and be sluggish, I got to keep training right up till fight day. There's not one solution for everybody. It's like we said before about weight. You can't put all fighters into one category and say, because you do this, this will be the result. Some guys are going to train up till the fight, some guys aren't.
And then you get some fighters who train with no headgear.
Well, I don't know if that's sensible, but I can't tell a fighter what to do. You can't.
No. It's their choice, and if they want to train with the minimalist protection and treat their training like an actual fight in the cage, I mean, that's their prerogative, but you want to live a long life and have a long career, you better protect yourself in training. And I'm of the belief that you take the week off training, let the body heal a little bit, and maybe do like a light to moderate like workout the day or two before so you still have that edge to a point. But don't go, pardon my French here, folks, but balls to the wall up into the day of the fight in your training.
Like I said, I'm not a fighter. I can't tell a fighter what to do. If it works for you and you stay injury free and you go balls to the wall and it helps you win a fight, then more power to you. Now, if I was a fighter, I'd take the week off, but that's just me, and I'm not a fighter.
Maybe it's old school versus new school too. I mean, our generation, like guys in our age bracket, as opposed to someone coming up that's in their early 20s, they don't know better.
There's also the argument that guys didn't know better 20 years ago when the sport was just coming into prominence, and a lot of those guys didn't have very long careers, so people should have learned from that.
Yeah, you're right. And on that note, that's the end of the show. What's on tap for Thursday night AMP?
Well, the fallout from Hell in a Cell. We'll discuss the returning Alberto Del Rio. We'll discuss the main event. We'll cover everything.
And of course, the new number one contender from Raw.
Yeah, that'll be a subject too. So look forward to that on Thursday night AMP with George J. Garber, myself, and of course the great Sudoku.
I didn't know his Sudoku was part of the crew now.
Yeah, he has been for a while.
Oh, I didn't get the memo.
Sorry.
Do me a favor, ask Garber about his thoughts about Tyrus.
Sure.
Because he ranted on Facebook, and you're in for quite the treat.
So, wait a minute. Is CWE somebody that Jordan works for?
I don't know. I think he might have friends in the promotion, or maybe he works or has some ties there. I'm not sure, but there was an issue. There was an incident there over the weekend.
But there's two sides to the story, and we're not going to get into that on this show because that's a subject for Thursday.
No, exactly. Don't forget the other shows on the network like Impact Implosion, SmackDown Rundown, Over the Top Radio, Raw Reaction, and of course Undisputed Wrestling.
Indeed, all those good shows right here on AngryMarks.com.
And I have it in my queue to listen to the Les Thatcher bit on Undisputed Wrestling.
Well, there's more to come. That was only the first part.
Oh, excellent. And what's the address of the YouTube channel again?
YouTube.com/AngryMarks.com.
And I'm at Twitter at HardcoreCDN, and Stevie is at AngryMarks.
All right, so that's it for another edition of Glove Up or Shut Up. And what do you always say, Peter?
Never leave it to the judges. Good night, everybody.
See ya.